Alright, how's it going? So I want to make a video today. I made one a while about this controversy, if you will, about orcs and races in the new Dungeons and Dragons 2024 bit. Um, I guess on this one I feel kind of the need to bitch on both sides or multiple sides of this argument. Well, there's been a sort of controversy about orcs generally, not including them, and I had to do a little research to see why the fuck you would not want orcs in there. And this was a kind of a rabbit hole where I find myself disconnected from the community, or at least having to catch up to nonsense. But first off, one controversy around orcs, which I find ridiculous, is are orcs black people? Um, no. Who the fuck thinks that? Um, that's ridiculous. Who the fuck thinks that? Are orcs black? It's retarded. And in fact, apparently they're Mexican. If you look at when I looked at this, I looked up the art for the new orcs, and it's like, what the fuck? Like how they're portrayed in the new artwork. Like, let me just say on behalf of Mexicans everywhere, vete a chingar a tu requete puta madre, pinche racistas de mierda. Like, it's a ridiculous the idea, like the art that they made them Mexican is super fucking racist. And it's like, what the fuck? And I have no idea how this passed. Uh, this this was approved. Who approved this? And I realized that this is an old controversy because I just stumbled onto it. And it's like, I mean, I'm just gonna share this picture. Like, this is ridiculous. What the fuck? Like, you complain that orcs for black people, and then so you made the Mexican, and it's like that's fine with you? What the? No, no. Anyhow, moving on from that little bit. Fuck these people who made this. No black orcs are not black, um, and it's ridiculous to suggest that. Now, the other controversy, which is much more what's going on right now, is do orcs have to be evil, right? And people are mad because orcs have been made sort of they're supposed to be not evil, or they're supposed to be have some depth to them, I suppose. Um, orcs can be whatever the fuck you want them to be. It's a fantasy game. If you want orcs to be, whatever, like they can be marauding, you know, vessels of destruction and evil, or I mean, if you want your orcs to be about peace and love, and they wear robes and smell like patchouli and throw flowers at you at the airport when you're trying to sell you their banana bread, like that's fine. That's fine. You can have goofy orcs, like that's probably more interesting. Like, there's no set concrete rules on what orcs are supposed to be, and I think that this kind of arises from us, like, if you're an old school player, really, if you're just old like me, orcs are something you learned about in Tolkien, right? And in Tolkien, they're these kind of representations of evil. They're kind of described sometimes as like hog-faced, or maybe that's just first edition D&D had them as sort of pig-faced orcs, but they're representations of chaos and evil, right? And they're the bad guys, right? You just get they're what's thrown at the good guys. That's fine, by the way. Like, orcs can be whatever you want them to be, and if they're evil, that's fine. If they're not evil, that's fine. And if you're bitching that, like, oh no, orcs are supposed to be evil, they have to be evil, like, no, they don't. Shut the fuck up. Like, it's a fantasy game. And you make this shit up as you go. It's fine if they're not evil. If they're purple, like I said, if they're purple and throw flowers, That's fine. They don't have to be evil. Like, but if you make them evil, if you want to throw, orcs at the party, that's fine. There's just this sort of evil insert, and there's nothing bad about that either, right? I think a lot of this kind of stems from, like I said, the old school. If you read Tolkien, orcs are evil. If you're more modern, if you're younger, really, like your version of orcs is probably World of Warcraft orcs, right? And frankly, those are much more interesting orcs, right? I love the World of Warcraft orc sort of lore. It's good stuff, right? And it's much more depth uh, to the characters. All of that is much, much better. Right? So, like, but this is the kind of more old school grognard type, like, no, orcs have to be evil. It's like, no, like, this whole generation grew up with a different kind of orc, and that's fine. Like, you don't have to, like, declare war and be like, no, orcs have to be evil. It's fine. It's fine if they're not evil. Like they can have depth, they can be interesting, they can be player characters, they can be, one of my favorite characters I ever played was an orc, right? And I made him an orc that was trying to be an eye. He was supposed to be an Eye of Grumsh. It was a prestige class in third edition, and he got drunk and he gouged out the wrong eye, and they mocked him, and he became a cleric. And it was a fun orc, right? It was like a war priest orc. A very fun character. He was convinced that he was he was going to be a chosen one, and everybody was his disciples. It was a fun character to play, right? And he was stupid, and this kind of gets to, like, why it was fun, right? Is that, orc in third edition there was a rule where you could play just a straight up orc, right? And you had like a +4 strength, and then like a -2 intelligence, and like a -4 wisdom or something like that. It was like a interesting severe penalty, and that made it fun, right? Because I was a dumbass orc priest, right? But it was fun, and this kind of speaks to this new kind of controversy is that the new Dungeons and Dragons just kind of removed racial features, right? Races, species, whatever you want to call them. They're just gone, right? There's no some racial benefits. There's no half anything. Everything has just kind of become a variant human. Um, and I guess my question is, like, where's the fun in that? Everything's a fucking variant human. Like, there's no point to play anything. Like, if I want to be a walrus man with firecracker nipples, so, well, what does that get you? Nothing. It's the same as everything else. It's fine. It's the same. Right? It's stupid, right? In the same way, like, you're gonna play a gnome that. Oh, I have a gnome fighter with an 18 strength. That's fucking retarded. Like, that doesn't that doesn't, like, the whole point of having races and species is that you get to sort of bask and sort of celebrate the differences between these species, right? And take advantage of it. That's what makes it interesting and fun. It's no fun if everything is the same, right? If it's just a goo of like variant human, right? Like, that's not fun. Why even have it at that point? Just get rid of all the other races and have everybody be human because you just lack imagination, right? I don't know, like that's such a bizarre. I probably need to do more research, but it's it's so fucking bizarre to me why they would get rid of that. Um, like, again, I am an old school player. You try to keep on top of like the new trends, but I stopped playing Wizards of the Coast D&D after fourth edition came out. I was like, nah, fuck this edition. And I've just been on third edition and Pathfinder more or less since then. And I have played some fifth edition, and it seemed okay. I mean, it's another gripe about fifth edition, but I don't know where this Sunblade came from. And like I realized, kind of looking this stuff up, that I'm a little behind the curve on this one. But why can't you have different species and races? I don't understand that at all. Like, I don't understand how that's better in any way. Even if you're talking about in terms of progressivism, um, how is that progressive to just eliminate differences? Right? Like, I don't get, like, I can kind of understand the argument of half races, in that if you take the angle that maybe maybe a half orc is the product of a some kind of sexual assault or something. Okay, I mean, I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. Yeah, maybe they're ostracized, and but that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. Some chicks are just into orcs, maybe. I don't know. I can, maybe that's the thing. Maybe there's married dudes that will pay money to watch an orc bang his wife. I don't know. I don't know. It could be anything. Like why the fuck? Or it could just be this fucking super strong limoncello. I don't know. But like, why does it have to? Why does everything have to be the same, right? And this is why fourth edition failed because everything was the same. Like all the classes were the same, and they're doing it again, right? With this new fifth edition, like everything has to be the same and equal, and all the races are equal, and like that's real life. This is not real life. Like this is supposed to be fun, and what makes a class or a race interesting is that it is different, right? Like, and you're setting this up this sort of outlook where everything has to be the same, and what is not the same, what is not equal, is sort of necessarily bad, right? It's inherently bad because they're not the same. And I don't understand how that is a progressive way to look at things. Like, how is that progressive, right? Like, it should be fine to have it should be fine to go kill a bunch of fucking orcs, man. Like, what did you do with those orcs? Fucking killed all of them. That's what we did. The bad orcs came and we killed them because orcs, and that's fine, right? And if you wanted those orcs to be, oh, well, actually, they were fleeing from some oppression by a tribe of gnolls or whatever, that's fine too, right? Like, the variation is fine. But to, like, just eliminate it entirely, it's like, why? Like, how is that fun? How is that interesting? How is that, diverse? It's not. It sucks. It's lame. It's just fucking lame. I don't know. That's my take. And I'm sticking to it. And that's what I got for you tonight. Just a little rant. Hopefully, I'll have more stuff later. Anyhow, hope you enjoy my little rant and have a good one.